Welcome to the Building Texas Business Podcast, where we share stories of leadership, innovation, and success from business leaders who know what it takes to build great organizations. Building Texas Business is brought to you by Boyer Miller, providing counsel beyond expectations. Learn more about how Boyer Miller helps businesses navigate opportunity and growth with clarity and confidence at BoyerMiller.com. Now, here's your host, Chris Hanslik.
In this episode, you will meet Joey Evans, Director of Business Development for TNW Corporation. Joey shares how shortline railroads play a vital role in moving and driving the Texas economy, as well as how they are the first and last mile of almost every product we use. Joey, I want to thank you for taking time to come on Building Texas Business. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. It's an honor to be here.
So let's start by introducing yourself and TNW Corporation. Tell the listeners, what the company does and what it's known for.
Yeah, so TNW Corporation, we're a transportation company based out of Dallas, Texas. We're 45 years old, and we specialize in shortline railroading. For most people, when they think about railroads, they obviously think about the Union Pacific and the Burlington Northern, the big railroads.
Sure.
But it's when you look at the state of Texas, there are 50 shortline railroads like us. We have the honor of having 4 of those railroads based in the rural Texas.
Okay.
Gonzales, Texas, Dumas, Texas, Brownwood, Texas, and we're the operator at Port of Victoria.
Okay. So then just to drill down a little more, shortline rail, what exactly is that and how does it fit within the overall rail system?
Absolutely. So shortline railroads are, a lot of people look at it and they'll go, oh, it's because it's a short amount of mileage. Shortline railroads are defined as railroads that hit a certain tier of revenue annually per railroad. So you can have a railroad that is 10 miles long that fits the tier of being either a Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3. Now, generally, you will not see small railroads that hit the Class 1 tier, but it fits into the national network because we are the first and last mile of a majority of the shipments that move across America. There are about 150,000 track miles across the United States. There's 10,000 track miles inside of Texas themselves. And shortline railroads make up about 2,500 of those rail miles inside the state of Texas.
Okay, so then if I understand it right, this is getting off the main line and actually getting product to a manufacturing facility or production facility, or getting that product from that facility onto the main line to be shipped anywhere across the country.
That's correct. So when you look at the highway system I use as the analogy, the bigger Class 1 railroads are like the interstate highway systems. And when you get off of that interstate highway into your rural counties in the state of Texas is where you'll see a lot of your agriculture or manufacturing. And so we are the people that deliver out to those county line roads or farm to market railroads, or farm to market roads rather.
How did, I guess you said the business has been around, or TNW has been around for 40 plus years.
Yes.
How did it come about that the focus to invest and be in this industry?
Yeah, so 45 years ago, the Murkison family saw a vision up in Dumas, Texas, is where we got our start. They purchased a railroad. It was a small railroad that had just a couple of tracks inside of the railroad. And since then, we've been able to put infrastructure in place, capital investment into the railroad to grow it out to be that specific railroad is the largest privately owned rail car storage facility in North America that holds about 12,000 rail cars.
Wow.
Again, in rural America.
Wow. That's 12,000 cars.
Yes,
That's
sir.
A lot.
Yes, sir.
So then describe kind of, I guess, what is your role within the company and how does that play into the company's overall strategies?
Yeah, so I lead business support and development, also government relations, and then I also have a hand in the transportation technology aspect of TNW Corporation. So my job really focuses on trying to grow Texas business. How do we attract business into Texas? And then also how at a government level do I go out and advocate for funding for shortline railroads like TNW? Texas is unique based on its size. Until last year, there was no driver or economic lever for state funding for shortline railroads. Last year, We were fortunate enough to get a Senate bill passed into law that at least provided a foundation. We didn't get it appropriated last year, but as we move into this next legislative session, we're very confident that we can help not only railroads like TNW Corporation, but other shortline railroads as well.
Okay. So you mentioned innovation. So what are some of the things that TNW has done or is doing to bring innovation into your business?
Yeah, railroads have always typically been considered kind of a black hole when it comes to technology and kind of behind the times. Our CEO, Paul Triangan, really had the foresight to look at that and say, how do we provide better visibility for our customers? So about 7 years ago, we really started looking at what was out there in the market or what we were currently utilizing and asking our customers, what does success look like for you? If we were going to wave a magic wand and give you everything that you needed, how would that help your business and would it help your business grow and become more successful? So we took that and we built our own platform in-house called MyTNW, which allows our customers to have complete visibility over their entire fleet of rail cars. So they can not only track the cars coming to them, we call that the Amazon effect that occurred, but it allows them to interact with us. And then we flipped it on its head and said, if we were to give you access through APIs, which are tunnels back and forth with technology, would that make you more successful? So then we integrated that.
Okay.
And then we took the technology and brought it even further in-house and started building out modules that helped us internally, like through dashboards, through safety, through finance. And so now it's become this full suite of products that we can not only offer to the rest of our internal business, but also externally to our customers and opportunities as well.
That's fascinating. So yeah, because you think, railroad doesn't exude innovation, right? It seems like old school, the original kind of mode of transportation, and things have moved beyond it, but it clearly still plays a critical role. And you see commercials now like Energy Transfer and whatnot about pipelines or rail versus having, trucks on the road.
Right.
What, when you look at Texas and just to put it in perspective, how much, whether it's petrochemicals or products, are the rail systems moving in Texas to keep our economy going, keep shelves stocked with products, et cetera? If you can kind of put some scope around that.
Yeah. So if you look at, you talked about trucking, and trucks are not our competitor; they're our complement, right?
Okay.
Because if you look at products that move, whether it be raw materials into a manufacturer, or whether it be outbound goods to the national network, whether it be clothes, water, anything that we touch on a daily basis is generally hauled by either rail or truck. And just to put some data points around that, for every truck that's on the road, for every rail car that you see, that's 4 trucks that's off the road on average.
Okay.
Right. So you think about putting stuff on rail and relieving the congestion. There's a general concern when you look at Texas as a whole around the Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio markets. We look at the congestion out on our infrastructure. We look at the money that we're having to spend to continue to upgrade our bridges and our highway network, because there are so many people and so many businesses that are attracted to Texas and moving in. So a majority of the products are already moving by rail in some kind of way. Now, how do we continue to attract business into Texas is kind of one of the things that I like to try to focus on. And people ask, what makes Texas different? It's the ability for us to be agile, and we can adapt so quickly. In TNW, we do, from time of an opportunity coming to us to the time that we can get a contract in place and have steel in the ground being built is a very small time. We can turn things around so quickly. And that's such an attractive aspect to most businesses that are looking to move here. And then at that point, what we do is we ask the customer, and I go back to a point that I made earlier, what does success look like for you?
Right.
How do we focus on what your 10 to 15 year plan is versus just looking at right now?
Okay. So yeah, no, that's one rail car, four trucks.
Four trucks.
That's pretty amazing.
It
And
is.
I love it because it does put it in perspective.
It does.
The importance of keeping the rail system, I guess, vibrant and healthy.
Right.
Because so let's talk a little about TNW itself. I mean,
Yes, sir.
As this company has grown, I mean, I guess what are some of the things that you and the other leaders have done to kind of build the team and grow the team so that you can keep the company growing and stay on its strategic focus?
Yeah, so we've done a good job over the 9 years that I've been at TNW Corporation of building out our leadership team with industry experts. When you look at the leadership team that we have in place today, there's about 200 to 250 years of experience, rail experience, with the majority of that being shortline railroad experience.
Okay.
So our team is really focused on, how do we bring new business in, but not operate in a silo. When you look at my realm of what I do at TNW, and I mentioned business development, support, government relations, I cannot operate in a silo to be successful, right? So I leverage the team around me, who we all have our different strengths, as far as what we've experienced in our career. And so we are all the time communicating with one another about, hey, what do you think about this? Or I know I'm missing something here. Or what technology are you maybe using? You mentioned AI. AI has become a big prevalent factor into even railroading today through the use of, whether it be Copilot, whether it be Claude, whether it be ChatGPT. I think we're all using AI to help us leverage the weaknesses that we may have as well.
So does well, first of all, the AI, you're right. I mean, I think everyone's trying to find it. You would think in this old, technology of railroad that you can even find a way to leverage AI. Just highlights the point that, everyone can benefit from it. That you find a way to use it the right way and leverage it the right way, and it doesn't replace the human element.
Sure.
So what kind of internally does the team do as far as strategic planning or really working with these customers and developing these kind of strong relationships to help kind of feed the business and keep it going?
Great question. So we spend a majority of our year doing strategic planning, right? So once we formulate a strategic plan and we start, in the middle of the year of planning what it's going to look like for the next year, we never close that book. We're constantly reviewing, are we meeting what we said we were going to do? How do we adjust on the fly if needed, right? If the business changes. When you have a geopolitical event like we're seeing now, right, it flips your strategic plan on its head, right?
Sure.
Because those are things that you couldn't account for in the business. So we keep that book open, we review that, and then we start thinking about how does that play into next year. We're constantly, meeting with customers. So we don't. You always hear, or we're going to have quarterly meetings with these customers. We just meet with customers, right? We don't look at it on a time frame. We think about how can we get in front of them and understand exactly what they're feeling in the geopolitical times that are occurring, or has the market just changed in the energy sector, and are they needing specific products that maybe they haven't done before?
Right. So you hit on a great point, that idea of you can't be in front of your customer enough, right? Asking questions to what's going on in their world and how can you be a solution. I know that's what we do as a professional service firm is, trying to be a resource and a solution and help solve problems for the client. And you can't know that unless you're engaged in conversation and asking questions and listening to what they're telling you.
Some of the best advice I've got as a leader is just to listen.
Right.
I'm a talker. I'm a people person. I want to be out and I want to be talking and helping educate and advocate people. But that advice to just listen.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying and then formulate your plan after you've listened. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Yeah.
So I'm always interested to know how, being in the state of Texas is an advantage for a business, and maybe what headwinds that may be causing. And I think your position is unique, being part of business development and understanding, but also the government relations. So let's just talk a little bit about the great state of Texas and the fact that that's where your business is focused. What have been and are some of the advantages that TNW has realized because it's based and operates in the Lone Star State?
Yeah, the advantage of being in Texas, and gosh, there's so many to count, is the fact that our leaders, our governor is so pro-business.
Yeah.
And you look at what the Office of the Governor and these different organizations around Texas are doing to attract business. It is so competitive when you're looking at bringing your business. There's for everything from incentives, right? So when you look, let's get down to the granular, kind of local level. These rural cities are offering way more incentives than they have in the past to attract businesses in, which is great for businesses trying to locate. And then at the state level, there's so many different tax advantages for moving to Texas out of a state like California or others, where they're being hindered from growing. And then you also look at from a federal level. There's so many different opportunities, and we have a great group of leaders in this state that are constantly out advocating for us in the state of Texas, and it just makes it to where Texas, in my opinion, is the only place that people want to locate, and you see that by the growth that we're seeing.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is unfathomable, and when you look at one of the data points that I heard at a meeting last week with TxDOT was there's 254 counties in the state of Texas. When you look at the population of Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and we'll throw Fort Worth into that as well, 70% of the population lives in those
major
cities, metropolitan cities. And it's a rate of, I can't remember the exact number, but it's an astronomical rate of people moving into those locations every single day. Well, those people that are moving into Texas, a lot of them have entrepreneurial minds. And so they're out trying to figure out ways that they can start their business, grow their business, and it makes it great for us.
Yeah. Well, we've certainly seen it from our perspective as well, right? Yep. That the number of, especially coming out of California, wanting to domesticate it and become a Texas corporation or Texas LLC and move from California here. I mean, really since the pandemic has been, I can't even count how many we've done. I literally just got off a call this morning before starting this episode with you, and it was a company looking to do that. Had a call yesterday from a client here, but does business in California, and California, God bless them, has some crazy, wacky laws on consumer products, and they get some notice letter that they're allegedly violating some California code. And they're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, they'll continue doing business out there because of that. And it's just stories and stories after that. So I think we are very grateful to have a legislative mindset that is pro-business. You hear about it all the time. And I think we all benefit, right? The high tide rises all boats.
Right.
And so what about, given your role in working specifically with the legislature, anything that you're seeing that on the horizon that you're kind of excited about to talk about that you think may be coming to make it even easier to do business in Texas?
That's a great question. Let me think about that one for just a minute.
Okay.
I want to back up just 1 second. We talk about advantages, and I will circle back. There's also some challenges in Texas
for sure. Well, let's talk about them.
I think when you look at our power, when you look at especially at our water table, long term, there's some statistics out there. If we don't figure out some of the water solutions, that we could have a real water problem in the next 30 to 50 years. And I think that's a real concern that people that are looking to move to Texas are thinking about.
Yeah.
We see data centers.
Well, I'll say that the AI boom, which then creates the data center boom, is all about how much water is there, or is there enough to support all of that, plus the human needs, right, for clean water.
You have Virginia leads the nation in the number of data centers with just over 600. Texas is not far behind that at 411, I believe.
And I think the pace we're going, we ought to get ahead of them in the next 5 years, I would bet.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and so there's 194 of those data centers within the DFW Metroplex. And so when you look at DFW specifically in the amount of water and electricity that those data centers take up, it does present a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your question about some of the advantages coming down the pipe, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. And I have the fortunate honor of being the president of the Texas Shortline Association, which is an education, advocacy, and safety mission-focused association for the state of Texas. And I think for us specifically in our market, what's exciting is the ability for us to potentially have some state funding to go along with some federal funding for infrastructure.
Okay.
When you look at our world of railroading, a lot of the infrastructure that we operate on today is 50 to 100 years old. And it costs a lot of money for us to upgrade and replace infrastructure. A staggering number is about 33% of all annual revenue of a shortline railroad ends up going back into infrastructure.
Wow.
Right off the top. Now, there used to be, we'll use 15 years ago, that it cost about $1 million a mile to build track. That number now is somewhere around $2.5 million. Right, so the cost have went up, and with now the ability to have the foundation for some state funding and getting that money to complement our federal funding, it's just a great thing for the state of Texas, because now we can continue to keep up with some of the other states that surround us, like Louisiana and Kansas, which have state funding for shortline railroad.
And I assume that funding is earmarked where it has to be used in infrastructure improvements.
That's correct. Infrastructure improvements, and it has to go against the complementary federal grant programs that we have. So at the federal level, we have what is called the Consolidated Rail Infrastructure Safety Improvement Grants.
Okay.
Which over the last 5 years in this last IAJA have earmarked about $1 billion annually for grant programs for shortline railroads. It's a very competitive program. We at TNW Corporation have been very fortunate and got 5 of 5 to the tune of about $35 million, which has accelerated our time of upgrading infrastructure by about 15 years.
Okay.
And so you take the state funding onto that, and it's a match program of generally 40 to 50% match. So you add that money at the state level onto that, it's going to allow others like ourselves to be able to go out and work for that federal dollars.
So let's talk a little, I guess, the business model. I mean, so what exactly does a company like TNW sell? Is it time or space on a track? Or how does that work?
We sell service, right? So we're in the service industry, just like you all.
Okay.
When you look at railroading in general, all railroading is the same. It's moving from point A to point B. So that's part of what our leadership team we do, is to figure out how do we get creative to be the best in service. Because again, there are 50 shortline railroads out there in Texas and a large portion in the Gulf Coast that are competing for that same business.
Okay.
And so when we go out and we meet with customers and we're asking those questions about what's most important for them, generally what the answer that comes back is we're looking for safety of our equipment. We are looking for time to get cars back into the national network for fleet optimization. And we're we're looking for places that we can land large number of cars at one time. And so what we've done is we're a very metric driven company. Everything that we do is accounted for, and we're all held accountable for those. And so you'll hear three common metrics that are used in the rail industry, which is dwell, and we'll talk about each one. Okay. Right car, right train, and order to spot. So how quick can I get a car spotted at my facility? How quick can I get that car from my facility back into the national network? And then also, are you doing what you said you're going to do? We have industry-leading statistics when it comes to each one of those buckets, to where we started at 72 hours for each one of those buckets many years ago. And we've gotten to the point now where our goal for that bucket of order to spot and dwell is 15 hours. But for the entire 2025 across all of our properties, we were somewhere around 7 hours at each one of those. So customers know that they can rely on us. And we call it our guarantee, right? If you ask us to do something, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it safely. And that's probably the metric that I'm most proud of, is safety. You look at the rail industry as a whole, 2025 was the safest year on record since railroading became a thing. So for over 100 years. Wow. At TNW Corporation, safety is paramount for us. And most of our railroads are going on over 6 years of being injury-free. And then when it comes to the equipment side of it, we're hitting around the same year mark for what we call human factor derailments, and so those are derailments that occur that cost somebody money. Sure. Right. So people are counting on us to move that high price equipment across the network safely without causing damage.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit just about yourself and kind of leadership. And you mentioned you alluded to some things earlier, but just having evolved into this role at TNW, how would you describe your leadership style? How do you think it's evolved or evolving, and what are some of the things that you've done to kind of, have a coach or mentor to help you, go along that journey? Yeah.
So, and I think we'll start kind of at the beginning of my journey in railroading. So I've been doing this for about 23 years now. And I started as a conductor many years ago.
No way.
Yeah, I did.
Like in the engine, so blowing the horn. You went through this.
So that's an engineer. So that's where most people.
Okay.
Think about it. Conductor is the person that's really in charge of the train. So they're the person that's out switching the rail cars. Engineer is the person driving the train. Per se.
Okay.
Fun fact: it doesn't have a steering wheel. Right.
Doesn't need one. Right?
Doesn't need one. And so when I started that journey,
just a brake,
several brakes. And there's actually 3 brakes on a locomotive.
Okay.
So you've got the locomotive brake, you've got an air brake, which connects, all the cars are connected with air hoses. And then you have on some locomotives, you have what they call a dynamic brake, which if you're ever out and you see a train that's going down a hill, generally you can hear it whining, and that is the dynamic brake that is applied to slow it down a little bit. So I started that journey 23 years ago, no college education. The railroad saved my life in many different ways. And I was a very transactional leader. And one of the things when I'm mentoring younger people, which is probably my favorite thing to do, is to mentor people that are just getting into the business. Because I think it's so important early on in your career to work on building your brand. We're no different than the brand for TNW. You're just building a brand for yourself. So, right. I put my name on everything. I worked the hardest. I was so proud of those things that I did earlier on in my career. But, our CEO, who's been a tremendous mentor to me, him and our COO have really helped guide me to say, Joey, you're not at the transactional level anymore. you've got to start thinking strategically. And that was a big point in my life to where I had to take a step back, and I'm deeply rooted in my faith. And I had to take a step back and think about that from so many different levels of how do I do that? Because for 20, we'll just call it 15, 20 years, all I'd ever been proud of was I'm the hardest worker in the room.
Right.
And so now, having people like that and having faith to drive me has really slowed me down a little bit to allow me to think about big picture. And it's so important in our business. But I don't take away the fact that as a young person coming into any industry, that you should really build your brand, because as you get older in your career, your word and your brand is what you have, right? People trust you.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point. So, I think there's, to your point and your experience, that saying no substitute for hard work is very true, except that's not enough, right? You have to evolve. I heard a speaker the other day talk about that, how a lot of people have this mindset of, I may not be the smartest, but I'll outwork anybody. Well, okay, that's actually that's not a bad thing, but you can't keep that up. It's not sustainable over the longevity of your career. You can't be, as we get older, you're just not going to be able to work as hard. Right. So you've got to keep that mindset and that work ethic, but evolve and learn to, work smarter, not harder, and develop other skills, because that one will fail eventually where you can't keep up.
And developing other skills and helping develop other people, and knowing that it's okay to go and ask someone for help. That was one of the biggest problems that I had, is that I thought I had to do it all my own. Yeah. And to your point, as we do get older, we can't go like that any longer.
Well, the most courageous thing you can do is ask for help.
That's right.
And people think it may be a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of courage.
That's right.
Which
is, when you look at asking for help and utilizing other people, TNW Corporation, we're rooted in our core values, and everything starts with integrity, safety, servant leadership, and quality. And those aren't just, a slogan that we put up on the wall. Those are conditions of employment. Yep. And, we look at everyone that comes into our organization to make sure that they can fit every one of those core values, and that they can live them out. And, myself as a leader, I look at myself as a servant leader first. Obviously, safety is the most important thing to us at all times, but I love servant leadership. I love being the foot washer, the mat carrier for other people, because it's what allows me to feel fulfilled in my life.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you did mention, earlier the family that owns TNW, the Murchison family. I think what's really cool about being a Texas focused podcast, and you're a Texas focused business, is that family was the original owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and it didn't get more Texas than that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're such a great group of owners, where their family office is based there in Dallas, not far from us, and we're their only operating company. And they allow us to go out and make decisions, for the business, but they help guide us. They help guide us in principles and make sure that we're living up to their family name. And what a great group of Texans, from the oil and gas all the way through the Dallas Cowboys to where they're at today.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Joey, this has been a great conversation. I want to wrap up just a couple things. What do you mentioned your faith? What do you like to do, I guess, just on your own personal time?
So I'm a huge barbecue lover. So I spend most of my time with my family. We live in Caddo Mills, and you can find me out on the smoker every weekend, or on the grill every night.
Trailer smoker, or no?
Not a big trailer smoker, but multiple smokers, to the point to where I'm starting to get the side eye from my wife on bringing home new barbecue equipment.
What's your favorite wood to smoke with?
So I'm a post oak guy. Okay. I like post oak and mesquite. Anybody that knows me knows that I know in Texas, I think y'all say the word pecan. I say pecan because I'm from Georgia. I love pecan wood as well.
Yeah, it's pecan.
Yeah.
That's okay. So favorite meat that you make?
So ribs.
Ribs?
Yeah, I'm a big rib guy.
Dry rub?
Dry rub ribs.
You're my man.
My daughter.
Can you ship some down to me?
I can.
All right.
Yeah. My 8-year-old daughter asks for them every week.
You're training her right.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you stole the thunder of my next question because I ask every guest, do you prefer Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Oh.
So we know the answer to that one.
It's barbecue.
Yeah, right. So very good. Well, Joey, thanks again for coming on the show, and love to hear what y'all are doing. It was great education in this kind of unique industry that I don't think people know much about, the short line rail, but obviously critically vital to the economy of Texas.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. I think when you look at the rail network, I mean, we really are the first and last mile of everything. And I'm so proud to be part of TNW Corporation and helping Texas grow. And I look forward to the next 45 years of TNW Corporation.
It's great. Have a great day. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Building Texas Business. Don't forget to check out the show notes at BoyerMiller.com/podcast for insights and resources from today's conversation. Learn more about how Boyer Miller can help your business grow at BoyerMiller.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.